All right, so Unit 2, Lesson 1, Page 2, we're going to graph points and lines using an XY coordinate. All right, this is a rectangular coordinate plane. If you're on your laptop, you can click on this link and it talks a little bit more about coordinate planes. I think that's a Khan Academy link. So there's an axis in the middle. That's the y-axis going this way. That's the x-axis going this way. The point in the center is the origin. There's the axes, yep. And then 1 through 4 quadrants. So because this quadrant is kind of a positive, these numbers are positive along the y, these numbers along the x are positive. So this is a positive place. So they start that with 1. Most word problems end up with positive numbers, so that's the most popular coordinate plane. If you see one just sort of like this, and there's just hours this way, and there's something over here and something over here, and then there's a line like this, this is just quadrant 1 that they're showing you. They're taking that piece out of this foursome here. Okay? So that's why it's mostly used. So then they label it counterclockwise. So 1 goes this way, then 2, then 3, then 4, as far as quadrants go. And then, so this little point right here, you would call it 2, 1, okay? Now, I've seen a lot of people draw all these lines all over there, but I would sort of avoid that. You want to hover your pencil. Just go from, you're always starting at the origin, going over to whatever the x is. So from here over, so the center, the origin, the 0, 0, right? 0, 0, right here. You're going over 2 and then up 1. That's the 1 point. This is two-dimensional, so it needs 2 numbers to identify this 1 point where it is. Okay? And it ended up, they're both positive numbers, so they're in quadrant 1, which is positive. Okay? This one here says go to -4 first. So you're going left or right first. So we're going to here, and then we're going up to 4. And we're not really supposed to draw the line to get there. Okay, I don't know that it's helpful. Pause over the -4 and then up. There's my 1 point. These 2 numbers get me that 1 point. And let's see, the next one is it goes over to -4 also. So always go back with your pencil, back to the center, hover over the center, go out right or left to where you need, and this one goes down 2, okay, to -2. This is where these meet. And then this one is +1, and then down here. So positive and a negative ends up in the 4th quadrant. You don't have to memorize that. If you graph it right, you will end up where you're supposed to be. So I don't know that you need to memorize that these are where these are. You do need to know that that's 1, 2, and 3 that way. Okay? All right. So given that information, how to plot a point. It says find the value of the x-coordinate on the x-axis. That's first. So this one right here, there's a +2. So we go over and there's a 2. Then it goes up or down to find the y-coordinate. So if the y is positive also, you're going to go up and put a little dot right there. Okay. The next one says go to -4 and then up to 4. C says go over to 2 and then down 3. Okay. D says go over to -3 and down 3. So we always are doing x, y. So we're always finding that x first. It gets a little tricky when things are 0. So let's be careful with that. This is my x, this is my y. So when I go find my y, I'm staying in the middle. And then in this case, I go down 4. So right here is my E. Okay, the next one, that's the x and that's the y. That means go find -4 and then don't go up or down. So that's the F. The G is 0, 4. So 0, stay here, and then go up to 4. And then H is 4, go over to 4, and then stay there. So that's H, okay? So the way they're going to ask on the homework, they're going to say, where's A? And you're going to say A is in the first quadrant. B is in the second quadrant. C is actually in the fourth quadrant. And D, sit there and write it down a couple of times so you remember where they are, okay? D was in 3. But E is in between two quadrants. We don't put in between. We put that it's on the y-axis or the x-axis. So E is on the y-axis. So that's why the homework is going to say in which quadrant or on what axis. So let's see. F was on the x-axis. G was on the y-axis. And H was on the x-axis. Okay, more practice in the algebra book, page 120, if you want some more practice doing that. All right, so then we talked about tables. The main purpose of putting a graph together is not just random points, but a picture. Give a picture of the solution to the equation. Okay, here's an equation right here. The points, the x, I'm going to go back up here, the x and y coordinates on the graph of the line represent what numbers can be substituted into the equation and create a true statement. Therefore, they are called the solutions to the equation. So that means this x is in the coordinate pair and that y. Okay, so these are your coordinate pairs. Right, there's a parenthesis here, and a comma there. So this x is the first number of an ordered pair. So if I say that x is -1, we put the -1 in this equation, multiply that, get a -2. A -2 plus a -3 is going to give you a -5. So if or when x goes into this equation, it's y. It's kind of like x is the input and y is the output. If x is -1, then y is going to be -5. Okay, if x is 0, you do the math. That's going to be 0 minus 3. Y would be -3. If x is 1, then 1 times 2 is 2 minus 3 is a -1. Okay, so these ordered pairs, that's an ordered pair, that's a different ordered pair, and that's a different ordered pair. That's another point on the graph. Let's go down to the graph for a minute. Those points can be put on there. Where is -1, -5? That's right there. 0, -3, 0, -3, 1, -1. There's my 3 points. That makes a line. That is this linear equation. So this is the graphic representation of this linear equation. So there's more points. Notice that this goes over 1 and up 1. You can go over 1 and up 1 and find another one. Up to over 1. So let's see. This one right here, this point right here is 3, 3. So that has to be a solution to this equation. So that means I'm saying that this is a 3 and this is a 3. When x is 3, y would also be 3. You can check that. If y is 3, 2 times 3 minus 3. This is 3 equals 6 minus that. 3 equals 3. All right? If it's on this line, it is a solution to this system. And they have to make a straight line. That's the way this has to work. So if any of these dots are out of whack, it means your math is off or you graphed it in incorrectly because it has to make a line, okay? 1x means this is a linear equation. So this one doesn't look the same. This one doesn't look the same as this one, but it is a linear equation because it has 1x, okay? I wouldn't spend a lot of time turning it around. We're just substituting the way it is. So put this -3 in for the x, not the y. Watch when they change up the orders of things, okay? If x is -3, put that in there and try to crunch out. So 2 times -3 minus 3y equals 6. So this is negative 6 minus 3y equals 6. This needs to be moved to the other side. See how we're using all these skills from the last chapter. Isolate y equals a negative 4. Y equals a negative 4 if x is negative 3. Okay? Put the 0 in. You get this. Remember, you're just doing this. That gives you your negative 2. This one, this would be 6 minus 3y equals 6. Move the 6 over. You have negative 3y equals 0. So when you divide, you're also going to get a 0. Remember, the 0 on top means you have none. You have a 0. Remember that this equals 0. This does not exist. We talk about that in the next chapter, but I mean the next lesson, but we'll say that again. But remember, this is really a 0. This is nothing. This one doesn't make any sense. I can have no 3s, but I can't have 3 nothings. Okay? So this is the mom's word for that. You also hear the word undefined. Undefined. Okay, for things that look like that. That is a 0. That's a 0. We're doing, hold on. I want to graph these down here. Where is negative 3, negative 4? Negative 3, negative 4. 0, negative 2. 3, 0. They make a line. I didn't mess up on my math. Okay? The other one, it's a little tricky when you start putting in fractions. This one, y equals 3 over 2 times 0 minus 5. So this whole thing makes a 0. So y equals negative 5. Okay? But what if it's a 2? This is why we practice what we practice. If that's a 2, then it's a 2 over 1. You multiply across the top, you get a 6. You multiply across the bottom, you get a 2. 6 over 2 is a 3. So 3 minus 5 equals negative 2. Okay? And then this one here, look at the PDFs for these that has, I think I wrote them all out. So let's see, put in a 4. Y equals 3 over 2 times 4 over 1, if you like to do it that way. This is going to be y equals 12 over 2 minus 5. Y equals 6 minus 5. Y equals 1. Okay? That's why we have to know how to crunch our numbers. All right, where's 0, negative 5 is there. 2, negative 2 is here. 4, 1 is there. That makes a very nice line. We're going up 1, 2, 3, and then back 2. Up 3, back 2. Or down 3, back 2. Down 3, back 2. Okay? Let's try this next one. Oh, is that practice? 3, 4. Yeah, it's practice. So I'll do a different video. Okay, bye.